Welcome to Pursuit Bow Hunting. Today is Thursday, February 27th, and I am on a new piece of property today. A little bit about the property. It is 98 acres of a mixture of hardwoods and a big a big hay field behind me. The plan today is I'm gonna scout around, and I brought a couple trail cameras that if I find a couple good spots that had some good fall sign, I'm going to throw those cameras up and just let them soak. I'm also going to walk around and do some shed hunting while I'm here, and basically just kind of get a better idea of what this property looks like going forward. I'm hoping to be able to get out here this spring and do some turkey hunting, and then also come back out this fall. Another thing I should mention that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to mark out some areas so I can come back around end of March, 1st of April, and do some presets. So yeah, follow along and we'll see what we see and see what we find. So I just started walking, and the first place that I was going to start out in is this big open pasture that I'd mentioned in the intro, and a little more detail about it. It's 98 acres of a mixture of hardwoods, some creek bottoms, and then this large pasture. There's no food anywhere around right here, so basically it's looking like the browse is going to be just natural browse and acorns. So I was walking along here and I found this cutout between two blocks of brush, and as I was walking up, I found a couple of nice scrapes that look like they're still being used, and by one of the scrapes I've already found my first shed. It's just a little one, but what was kind of neat is the shed's right here, and it's right next to this scrape that's in this lane, and clearly the scrape is still getting used even into February. And what I like about spots like this is, obviously for obvious reasons, it pinches the deer down right here, but it is between two different sets of just high stem count cover. So I haven't even obviously made it into the woods yet. I'm not going to probably throw a camera up here, but I like, especially on private land, I understand on public it's going to be harder. It's people's access and exit points, but on private land, if you or a couple other guys are the only ones hunting it, what I like to do is focus on areas like this. I've had success in areas like this in hunting. I've had success in areas like this for shed hunting. And all it is, again, is it's just, we're out here in this overgrown field. It is just a strip that's in between two blocks of cover that these deer feel comfortable using going back and forth. And especially as the season goes on and we get further into late October and into November, these spots become dynamite because these does like to hold up in this thick cover, and that's where the bucks know to go. That's why that these scrapes were here. That's why these scrapes are still here. So just keep that in mind if you're out and you're scouting around and you find something like this. Definitely hone in on these. But yeah, pretty good. We've only been walking for about 10 minutes and we've already found our first shed. So I've come to the first spot that I'm gonna definitely stop and slow down and scout some more. I love areas like this right here. And what I have here is I have just this natural opening with this thick brush, and surrounded by it is a mixture of high stem count cover and just open hardwoods. So this will definitely be a spot that I will stop, slow down, and scout while also looking for sheds. Another thing that I'm already noticing is rubs. When I was kind of walking up here, I started to pick up, they're not big rubs, but they're rubs, and they're everywhere in here. So what that tells me is this is obviously a high trafficked area and gets really good during the rut. Just like example, just walking around right here, here's rubs from last year. I know it's hard to see, but on this smaller tree right here is a rub, and just basically all these little trees out here have rubs on them. And another thing I'm noticing is this is not only just a fall time area. These deer are still in here. I'm finding fresh droppings everywhere. I'm finding fresh tracks. I mean, here's yet again another rub right here. Again, they're not big rubs, but they're rubs nonetheless. So that just tells me that there's bucks, obviously. That just tells me that there's bucks obviously coming through this area. So I'm going to spend a little time just kind of dissecting this, looking for spots to put stands in, and just kind of finding where they're coming and going from. I imagine, especially during the fall, when this is a little more thick, they're probably just bedding just right in the middle of this. But there's, I mean, just again, a mixture of high stem count cover, good mature trees, and evergreen trees. So when you find something like that, be it again private or public, that's something definitely that I like to either throw a camera on, scout really good, or throw a stand up, or do all three, because I've had success there, and they're just almost just a guarantee, especially that late October into November. So it wasn't probably, I don't know, took 10 steps and came across this huge scrape right here. Again, still getting used, has fresh tracks in it. As you can see, has deer droppings in it, and it's coming in to that opening from where? Right there, the high stem count cover. So yeah, I mean, just yet another example of why these spots are so dynamite. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to work backwards and see where this trail leads me and see what I find from there. So yet again, another positive about this spot. The only negative is it is literally under the tree that I had picked out right here. This oak tree right here. I'm not sure, I'm not good with my tree species, and the reason why I picked that tree, but obviously I'm not gonna use that tree, which is fine, because another thing about this spot just in particular is I can have multiple setups for a north, southwest, or a north wind, south wind, east, west, whatever it may be. But the reason why I had picked this spot is, and I'll go over there and kind of show you the landscape of that, is there is like 3 ridges that dump down. So in theory, in the morning time, because I believe that this spot would have been a good morning spot, is my thermals, when that sun starts to rise and starts to heat up the ground, my thermals will pick up and go over that. So for anything, because I found trails coming, that's the other thing, there's trails coming out of everywhere on both sides of this opening. So my thought was, in the morning time with this spot, my thermals will be carrying over anything coming out from them bottoms. I walked a lane down there, found some more some more scrapes, and another positive is I found some mature oaks that had clearly dropped this past season. So I'll have to come back and see if they're producing this year. But I'm going to keep scouting around right here. Shockingly, I've found no sheds in this little opening here, which is amazing because there's just fresh deer sign everywhere. But it's so thick in here that one could drop and I'd not be able to find it. So definitely look for spots like this, like I mentioned before. And again, what makes this spot so unique is it's just a natural opening. It's just all natural. And if you don't know, deer are creatures of edge. So this is perfect edge habitat. They like to travel and feel secure in thick, high stem count cover, and anything that's a natural kind of stem count like this. So definitely look for spots like this, because I'm just finding last year's rut sign everywhere, and they're gonna, if they rutted here last year, they're gonna rut here again this year. So this may be a spot I throw one of the 2 cameras that I brought with me and just let it soak and see what happens. So I'm on those points that drop down into the bottoms, and as you just saw, I found a pretty good sized rub. And another thing that I'm running into is, again, more rubs. I've also found deer beds, which makes perfect sense for this area, because these deer, especially the bucks, they'll bed on the tops, and again have that wind to their back, have everything with their nose covered from the back, and have their eyes cover the front. So this is again why you want to winter scout, because if you come in here in the summer, you're not going to find this. You're not going to be able to get to it. It's going to be so grown over, so thick. All of last year's sign is not going to be as easily identifiable as it is right now. So if you have the opportunity to get out and do your scouting now until that green up, I highly suggest it, because it just helps you have a better idea of the property that you're hunting. And if you have the luxury of being able to do presets, it's just not even that, just mobile hunting. It helps you with finding the quietest entry and exit routes. It just helps you in general have a better understanding of where everything is at, because they're going to do the same thing year after year. All right, so I'm at my second location that I'm gonna definitely come back and hang a stand, and this is gonna be primarily for the rut. And the reason why is right here is the bottom of two saddles. So I have the lowest point here, which is a natural pinch point, because right here is a steep draw that they're not gonna cross. This is the easiest crossing point, and it goes up into this thick block of timber. And then over here, it comes from this thick block of timber. So, I don't know yet, again, if I'm gonna put a trail camera here, because it's not gonna probably, I mean, yes, there's sign here right now, but it's not gonna get me what I'm looking for, because for one, they've obviously dropped their antlers, and I feel like this is gonna be more of just a cruising area. This is gonna be more for when they're cruising from one bedding area to another, but it just makes perfect sense. I worked down from that top of that point, worked all the way down here to the bottom, and found right here these two different ridges in this saddle right here. And then as I was looking around farther, came across a pretty good sized rub just right here on this pine tree. So again, that tells you that a good mature buck is using this spot. Clearly it was from last year. I mean, you can see the shaving still kind of on top of the leaves. You can tell that it was from last year. It's not old. And all they're doing is they're coming right from over here on the other side of that ridge, which is about 200 yards from that natural opening. And they're just working back and forth during the rut. So look for areas like this as well, because these are great cruising areas. That's a great pinch point. It pinches them down right there at the head of that steep ravine, to where it'll allow you, if you're bow hunting, allow you to get a good, clean, ethical shot. And just again, just looking everywhere, this is just a good spot. And the reason why is there is a series of different ridges. There's a ridge here that dumps down. There's a ridge here that dumps down. Obviously, the ridge I just talked about dumps down. The ridge I just came from. And from behind me, this one dumps down. So everything meets right here. So I guarantee if I'm to walk a little bit further, I'm going to find another good crossing that you can have for another wind setup. But this will not be an early season. Most likely, I haven't even got, there's an area from doing some aerial scouting that looks like there's some good oaks that I'm going to go to after this. That will be more of a early season spot. But this right here is a perfect spot for that middle end of October into all of November, and even, you know, the secondary rut into December. So the further and further I walk, the clearer it is that this is just, in my opinion, a very easy piece of property to hunt. And the reason why is I've hopped over to another section, which is exactly where I just came from, which is ridges dumping off of ridges. And in between those two big open mature woods is thick cover. So I jumped over, and sure enough, not only did I find 1, 2, but 3 huge scrapes right here at this tree. Again, just like all the other ones I found, are still being used. I'm going to put a camera here, and this is the reason why. These are clearly community scrapes. So every deer that's in these blocks of timber that are going from one side of the property to the other is probably stopping right here and hitting these scrapes. So I'm going to put a camera up, probably right here probably right here on this tree. And I'm just gonna let that soak. Another thing I should touch on is when I was over on the other side, I cut up into that thick timber that thick timber and popped out on what looks like an old logging road. And just like every logging road, it's just got a bunch of deer droppings, a bunch of tracks in it still. I'm surprised I have not found any other sheds except that one so far. I'm not done yet. This is gonna be like a 3-part series that I'm gonna have to do. I'm not gonna be able to break down this whole 98 acres in one day. So this is gonna end up being 2 more scouting missions that I'm gonna do just so I can get a better understanding. So far, I've got a couple rut sites picked out. Like I'd mentioned before, I'm gonna go over, if I can make it, I keep running into good sign. I'm gonna try to find some early season spots, but I have the other piece of property that I hunt that's an all-around good, all season hunting area. So if this is only kind of looking like it would be really dynamite during the rut, then that's fine. But I'm gonna hang a camera here, and I just wanted to explain the reasons why. This is definitely, again, community scrape right here, deer dropping still in it, and right there, coming off of these ridges that dump in, circling around to the thick cover right here, and on the other side of that is the other ridges that I was just on. So, and off here in the distance, you can't tell, there's a rub right here. I had walked in, I come across some other rubs coming in. So yeah, look for areas like this to hang a camera that can soak all spring, all summer, all fall, all winter, and then come back in that next spring. Mine's gonna be a cell camera, so luckily I'll be able to tell what it is. But if you don't have a cell camera, that's fine. Just put a standard SD camera out and just let it soak on areas like this, because I guarantee you, you'll get almost every deer that's on that piece of property that you're hunting. All right, I got that cell camera set up, and like I said, I'm just gonna let it soak. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna backtrack, and I'm gonna go back up to this old logging road, and I'm gonna take it back out and see where that leads me, to try to get a better understanding of how I'm gonna enter and exit from this setup. All right, we found a pretty decent shed just right up here. I'm walking this logging trail, heading to that cutout, like I said, and just walking along thinking there's got to be something. And sure enough, right here, that is a nice left side right there. So I just figured with the amount of sign that that I've come across, that there had to be a pretty decent shed laying around here somewhere. And sure enough, there it is right there. So if that deer's still in here and still alive, that's going to be a nice deer for this area next year, or this upcoming season. And like I said, I'm just walking right here along this logging trail. And right before I found this, I was trying to get my GoPro out and film. There was about 4 does that shot out from the thick cover and crossed over and are heading actually toward the way that I had that trail camera. So maybe I'll get them on camera. And actually right here, I'm coming across what looks like a huge rub, and just kind of trying to keep my eye out to see if I can maybe find the other side to this shed. And then, I mean, again, here it is, another example, another huge community scrape right here. Again, droppings in it, still getting used, has fresh tracks in it. And as you just walk along here, and you see, I don't know, I'll walk up there and see, but there is a huge rub right here on this cedar tree that's coming right into the power line crossing right here. Just a huge rub, again from last season. I mean, that's a good size rub. That's a good diameter tree. And it's all around the tree, as you can see right here. Shavings are still on the ground, and this is where those does came from. And right here in front of me is that opening, and all they're doing is they're just paralleling the edge of that opening. coming and going. So that just tells me where I put that trail camera, which is just right back there, probably 300 or 400 yards. It just tells me that's going to be a good spot and that's going to pick up a lot of deer on it. Just found the third shed for the day. I crossed over the power line cutout into this other block of woods, and the amount of rut sign and just deer sign in general is not as much as the other side. So I don't really know how much effort I'll put into this side right now. That's not to say that it's not a good spot. It's just from what I was seeing for deer sign, just not that good. But I was walking along right here to go back in, and I just happened to stop, take a break, and I just got lucky. Happened to look down. Small one right here. Nothing big, but still a shed nonetheless. So just a small little guy that was just sitting right here on the leaves. So yeah, I'm gonna start heading back toward the truck. Like I said, this is gonna be at least another 2 days of scouting that I'm gonna have to do. And I've got so far about 3 spots in mind that I want to put a setup at. I got 1 trail camera deployed. I'm not done yet. I'm gonna start scouting my way back toward the truck. So if there's anything else I come across that looks like it may be a good setup for a camera or a stand, I'm definitely gonna hop back on here if I find another shed. So this side over here, although it's not bad, it's just not the amount of sign that was on the other side. All right, this is gonna be the end of the video, and we're gonna end it with a shed right there. So I ended up deciding to just do one more pass on the opposite side of where I'd parked, because I just figured there's a bunch of sheds out here. I imagine I'm just not seeing them, but I figured I'd just go one more time and just kind of walk out here, and sure enough, came across this shed right here. And yeah, it's a pretty nice shed. Imagine he'll, be pretty nice this year. So we're gonna go ahead and end there for the day. Like I've mentioned before, I'm probably gonna be back 2 more times to do a couple more times walking the property and just kind of getting a better idea. I've covered a lot of it, but again, I've just not covered enough. So yeah, follow along. If you guys could, please like and subscribe. And one more thing, I've also joined TikTok. It's just at Pursuit Bow Hunting. So if you could go over there and give me a follow, and I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one.